goodness. Welcome back to Am I the Patient, where the healing is raw, the truths are uncomfortable, and the therapy is unpaid. Raw conversations, real feelings, and no copay. This is Am I the Patient? This is part 2 of the Hood Don't Do Therapy, but why? I'm your host, Miss J, and how are you feeling? Because part 1, we talked about survival, we talked about systems, coping tools that our, Black and brown communities create. But today we're going to dig into the next layer. So, how do we reclaim healing on our own terms? That's what we're going to talk about. You had an episode in between, and if you haven't seen that episode, please go and watch it. That one's on coping mechanisms. And this is part 2 to the other one. We left on a very vulnerable note. And so I just want to get into how do we heal? So the first part, we're going to talk about who heals the healer. So let's start with the strong friend. So the one who knows how to hold everyone else's pain, but not their own. Many a time, the people, I guess that's the reason why they were in therapy. It contributes to it. I would get those people in my office and they're always like, man, I'm like the friend where everyone comes to me and they tell me all their problems. Like I'm the therapist in the friend group. It can be quite exhausting. So in our own culture, emotional strength is usually praised. But on the flip side of that, it can also be a trap, which I don't think a lot of people recognize, or they recognize too late. So you'll end up emotionally exhausted. You could end up just quietly resentful, just sitting in that that space of I have to kind of deal with everything on my own and I kind of have to keep it in. You're unable to rest. And then you're always seen as the reliable one, even when you're your world is coming down around you. And oftentimes I see multiple instances of this in social media, in real life, where people who are the reliable friend and who are the strong friend, they often make posts or make comments, or they'll talk about how I'm going through some things and I'm struggling right now, but you will never see it on the outside. I make it look good, and you'll see people comment and I'll be like, yeah, there you go, that's how you do it, be the strong friend. So it literally is it's praised to be seen as the strong one. And you might think, and you may be sitting there thinking now, oh my gosh, that's me. And it sounds nice on the outside. But at the same time, we're all still human. And so you can't be strong through everything. Okay. There has to be a certain point where, you're going to have your moments. It's just part of being human. And so when you are feeling that humanness and you are struggling, you are, having some things crumble around you, that's when you feel that emotionally exhaustion, and being that quiet, resentful person, because you just have to deal with it in peace. And that's not healing, it's just martyrdom in a hoodie. And that's why I love therapy, because therapy is one of the few places where you're allowed to say, you know what? It's just one of those days. I don't got it today. I just am not feeling it. I am not in a good space. And to have that space and to have that non-judgmental, safe space to do that is so important. And a lot of people don't get that space. And not saying that therapy is the end all be all, but some people can find that space with a family member or a friend, or I don't know, with a sibling, yeah, a family member, like I said. But regardless, it doesn't have to be with the therapist or with the counselor or social worker or in a therapy office. It can be in a myriad of places. But just having that space just to say, man, it's just, yep, I'm not doing okay, and that's okay. Okay, so like I said, therapy isn't the end all be all, but when we are in therapy, there are some pros and some cons. So, not all therapy is good therapy. I am the first one to admit, and I feel like my other therapist should be able to do the same, is that I'm not a good fit for everybody. My space may not be a good fit for everybody. My therapy style or orientation may not be a good fit for everybody. And to you, that might not be good therapy. And so, for one, if you're listening, I apologize and you recognize my voice. It's just that we didn't clash, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But anywho, not all therapy is good therapy. So some of you may have tried therapy and hated it, and that's okay. That's valid. Maybe your therapist didn't understand certain things like code switching, or maybe they couldn't tell the difference between like discipline and generational trauma. Maybe you got the feeling that you were being like studied, or like, I don't know, looked at like an experiment versus to being supported. A bad session can make you never go back. But bad therapy doesn't equal, oh my gosh, therapy is bad. It just means that you have to keep looking and finding a therapist that fits for you, finding a therapist style that fits for you, or just redefining what therapy looks like for you. I've had clients who would come in and they would say, I've never had therapy. I don't know what to expect. And we kind of mold sessions. Well, I would start off saying, you know what, this is your time from 10 o'clock to 10:55. This is your hour to do whatever you want. I would give them examples of, I've had clients who would come in who just needed to vent for like, okay, they really structured their session where I'm going to vent for 15 minutes and then we're going to transition to talk about something else. I've had clients who come in, they just have a specific issue that they're going through or presenting problem that they want to bring to the table that day. And they just want to process through that and talk through that. They just had, a situation that happened. They just want to talk about that. Regardless, I've had clients come in who are like, yeah, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to do. I don't know how do I therapy? And that's okay. Like I said, I would walk clients and I give them examples. And then I had clients who would be like, okay, this is what I want to work on. I mean, granted, just to go back a second, when you come into therapy, your therapist should be identifying goals or things that you would like to work on in sessions, because you should have something that you are working towards, because they have to create a treatment plan anyway, a good therapist anyway. So going forward, so I would have clients who on the flip side would be like, yes, I want to work on this. I want to talk about this. Today we're going to talk about this. Hey, do you have any coping skills for trauma about this, specifically this? So it just depends. So, I like to, if I can, reframe or give you a different perspective of what therapy is, because I know between movies and between your own experience, whether that be good or bad, or from whatever reason, everyone has their own perception of what therapy is. And I would like to challenge you on that just in this moment, just to think of therapy as a blank piece of paper. So when you're going into therapy, yes, there's some things that you should, that your therapist should tell you about, such as like goals. We got to create a treatment plan. We got to do an assessment right off the bat, unfortunately, for insurance purposes. And there's some information you have to, you don't have to, but they would ask you that, of course, they would want to know, There's forms you got to fill out, of course, consent to treatment, yada, yada, all the logistical stuff. And the stuff of like, okay, this is what therapy looks like, cancellation fees, all that stuff aside, the therapy itself, I would like you to look at it as a blank piece of paper. So it could be literally whatever you want it to be. If you have this perception of therapy and what you think therapy is, you can have that conversation with your therapist and be like, this is what I think this is. Is this right? Is it okay if we do it this way? You're in control. That is your session. That is your time. If you don't know, your therapist can guide you, give you ideas. If you're comfortable, they could provide structured activities for you to do in session based on goals that you want to work towards, the whole 9 yards. I'm also rambling, but it's just a blank slate. So it doesn't matter what you wrote in that journal before. It doesn't matter what you wrote on that piece of paper or what you're going to write on that piece of paper after. But when you start therapy, I want you to think of it as just a blank page. And it could be whatever you want it to be. So, okay, reclaiming therapy our way. Let's throw out the rule book. Let's throw out the rule book. Reclaiming therapy for us means find a Black therapist. If that's more comfortable for you, I will be transparent. I'll be vulnerable that my therapist that I have, she is not a person of color. She is white. However, from the moment I met with her and we've been going on, oh my goodness. I want to say 2 years now. Jesus. Okay, I just had a little reflection moment there. I think I've been seeing her for 2 years. But anyway, that's beside the point. That's what's comfortable for me. So it's just not, of course, these aren't the end all be alls, of course. But whatever makes you more comfortable. If finding a Black therapist makes you more comfortable, please find a Black therapist. I mean, of course I had clients of all, ethnicities and background and races, but it like touches my soul in a different way when I have a Black client or a brown client verbalize to me and say, I'm so happy that you are my therapist, or it's hard to find a Black therapist and I'm so glad that I have you. It just touches my soul in a way that's a little bit different, because this is not, like we talked about in the first episode, this was not something that was designed for us, you know? So having those spaces be more open and be more inclusive of people like us, it's great. So if that's more comfortable, please find a Black therapist. You can attend group healing circles. So I don't have any resources on me because I didn't prep ahead of time, but if you want, please just email me, amithepatientpod at gmail.com, and I can find, and you can tell me what states you live in, and then I could find some resources for you about groups around the area. Another good way of finding groups, if you don't want to do the whole shebang, just join a Facebook group. You'd be surprised at how many groups exist on Facebook. I mean, if you're younger and you don't know what Facebook is, find out what Facebook is, okay? And find some books. You could also just do some journaling. You could do prayer if you're religious. Do some movement. Get up. Do some Tai Chi. Do some Zumba, yoga, whatever feels right. That all of that is therapy. And on top of that, of course, using apps, YouTube, Am I the Patient podcast you're listening to right now, spiritual rituals, whatever aligns and whatever feels comfortable. That's how you can reclaim therapy. You don't have to lay on a couch and cry for 45 minutes. That's not, that's kind of what most people's perception of therapy is. It's like you come in, this person sits down, they have the clipboard. For heaven's sake, the the AI profile picture that I had made for this podcast. It has this perception of therapy being this person sitting in a chair with a clipboard and you're laying on the couch and you're doing whatever. That's the perception. When you think of therapy, if you say to someone, hey, draw a therapy space, or this is what, people think of when they see. So, you don't have to lay on a couch for 45 minutes and cry. That's not, it can be if you want, but there's other ways to have therapy, if that makes sense. It's anything that helps you confront, process, and grow safely. And sometimes that may be by yourself, or sometimes that may be with a trusted adult, a trusted professional. Okay, so the fear of getting better. Ooh, my goodness. Have you ever sabotaged your own peace? I think that sometimes we're not afraid to be broken. We're afraid to be better. Because being better means that we lose people who benefited from our pain. That means we have to set boundaries that your old self wouldn't have or couldn't have. Being better means that you have to feel things that are buried, things that are repressed, things that you have long forgotten about. That means you have to feel it. And that's hard. So being better means that you also have to give up chaos that you called home. Some people thrive in chaos, and that's not necessarily a good thing. You've just become comfortable to the chaos. And so when you are, any type of change can be difficult for people. So when you have to change that and you have to be quote unquote better, it means you have to give that up. And ooh, that's stepping outside of your comfort zone. Ooh, that's stepping outside of your safety, because that feels safe to you. And so being outside of that, it may seem unsafe. And you're like, ooh, I don't want to do that. So you're not being selfish for healing. You're just growing, and that's okay. So, am I the patient? Oh my gosh, y'all know I'm the patient. As long as you keep listening, you will know that your girl is the patient. And I'm not afraid to admit it, okay? I've asked myself this question over and over again, and I continue to ask myself this question. I had a situation where I told my therapist where I was like, okay, I feel guilty saying no to people. And so she told me, well, what if you're not abandoning them? You're finally choosing you. And that changed everything for me. So yes, I'm the patient, but not because I'm weak. It's because I'm worthy of healing. Which goes into a whole different myriad of things, I swear. Like, if you guys want me to talk about myself, I will. I've said this before. I think it was in the boundaries episode. I just have a hard time saying no to people. And it's something that I have been working on and I'm so much better at. But it's like, yeah, I feel guilty. It feels wrong. But it's just got to set those boundaries. And it's not being selfish. It's not because you don't love the other people. It's just that you're finally choosing you. So, okay, this part was a little more on the lighter side. But if you made it through both parts, please leave a comment. Let me know. We learned that our communities don't reject therapy without a reason. It's because we deserve to rewrite the story. So although therapy may not have been made for us, we're making it ours now. So please, if you are scared of therapy, don't know where to start, don't know where to look, it's something that you want to do but don't know how, have questions about the therapy process in general, if I get enough questions, that might be an episode in and of itself. Please reach out. amithepatientpod@gmail.com. If you also have a story that you would like to share, your Am I the Patient moment, or something you just want a safe place to vent or whatever, please, there is a Google form in my Linktree where you can go and share with me, and you can let me know whether you would want to be featured on the podcast or not. But regardless, whatever you send, it will be read a lot more quickly than the email will be. So I thank you all for listening. Please, if you are liking it so far, follow the podcast, share it, comment, and don't forget to ask yourself, am I the patient?